it apropos that I was watching some of the shows this morning. We had the anniversary of Katrina, you know, and that's all over the news. And that was about the time that I really started getting confidence in the race, because it was something you get your arms around that showed the downright incompetence, especially at the federal level. And doesn't it make you wonder, when those same people are the ones running the war in Iraq, that are doing a lot of the social programs, the ports with Dubai issue, and Harriet Myers, and all of these things, just one right after the other. It just built up more and more confidence that we were in the right place at the right time. I mean, I feel so strongly now, and every week I feel stronger. And about 3 weeks ago, I found out that Rohrabacher is really getting concerned, and
all right,
due to some internal RNC polling, and then he held this telephone conference district-wide, which he had never done before, and then he did his mailing and just the things that he's going about doing gives me a lot of confidence that he's on the run. And I learned from the Marine Corps, you know, when your bayonet is fixed and you have the guy down, you run him through, and that's what we're going to do, you know, right now, because that's exactly where he is with all of these scandals that he has going. And it's amazing. I have gotten so much help from all of our volunteers on lots of different areas, but researching Rohrabacher is an amazing one. And we're putting together this, what would you call it, a document. There'll be a thick one, a dossier on Rohrabacher that we're going to have by the 24th of September. And it chronicles, it tells a story going clear back to Iran-Contra, you know, his involvement there. And when he first went to Angola with Abramoff in the early 80s, and then the Mujahideen, and when he backed the Taliban, you know, how many times does he have to be on the wrong side?
Yeah.
You know, when he defended them, when he defended Abramoff, only elected official to do that. And then his movie, his screenplay situation, and it's just one thing after the other. And I think most of you know the big percentage of it to see what kind of person he is. What shocked me was when I read the stories about when he was chair of the committee that investigated the Oklahoma City bombing, and how he almost got thrown off the committee, and those things, you know, that you just show his outright bias for the people that contribute to him, and those sort of things. And when I talk to my clients that are in the district, they're almost all Republicans. They're shocked when I tell them about some of these things. Do you really want this kind of a guy representing you? So anyway, those things, you still have to be the right person to win the election. But what that does is open the door. It gets it where Republicans and independents will consider another candidate because of those things. You won't win an election over it, but it opens their eyes. And we are so confident about this race. And we believe that we're going to win for 4 basic reasons. The first one is what I mentioned with all the problems that the Republicans are having. And they have to take responsibility for where we are. You know, when they have control of the White House, both houses of Congress, they've been running the show all this time, since 2000, and like it or not, they've got to take responsibility for it, and they're going to pay in November for this mismanagement, because they've even split their own party, right? And when I talk to my clients, you should hear them go on and on about the budget and just fiscal irresponsibility and Iraq not being what they thought it was, and it goes on and on. So that's the first reason that we're going to win, is they're just dissatisfied anyway, the people in the other party. The second reason is that I'm the right person at the right time in the right district, because I do have the credentials to appeal to independent and moderate Republican voters. Because I was a combat pilot in the Marine Corps during Vietnam, and the corporate experience, an entrepreneur forming my own corporation, and those things add credibility. And I think it's important, when you talk about the mistakes that have been made, I'm not saying that everybody needs to have military experience. But I am saying that having somebody on the Armed Services Committee that's been in the military would have been less likely to make some of the mistakes. Now, I was an intelligence officer, and I know for a fact the way information flows up the chain of command through the intelligence, and there's no way I would accept what I get from the administration. We used to call it managing the news. When you were at this level, and every level that information went up, it was massaged, spun for the next commander. You know, and you know that happens. Deliberately or not, that's just the way it is. You have to go to the source, you know, and everybody in the military knows that. So that's just an example. Everybody that's been through a war college knows that when those generals tell you that it takes 300,000 men to do what they say, it takes that many. I'll tell you, since Alexander the Great, we know that it takes 3-4 times the amount of people to... first of all, I wouldn't invade the country to begin with, but I'm just talking about the competence right now. Is if you're going to do something that's stupid, at least be competent at doing it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, so there's that. And then I have, besides the military and the corporate experience, I was a chief operating officer at Security Pacific at a time. They're the 5th largest bank in the country. I was in the boardroom when they were making decisions in the middle 80s, you know, and I see how they think. That was about the time that corporate America started looking out for themselves and not for the public. The stock options were just becoming a part of life, you know, and I can remember decisions they were making back then that just make me cringe today. They were, Security Pacific was, at one time it looked like they're going to have a tough time meeting their numbers at the end of the year. So what did they do? They started charging a fee for ATM usage. Now that didn't last long, but here it was, something that cut their costs dramatically, you know, that you'd use that as and they charge a fee on top of it. Or they were planning this credit thing that ended up choking them later. But they actually had a strategy for going after college students, people that they knew couldn't handle the credit, knowing that a percentage of them would go bankrupt, you know, and working that into the equation, because they had all these rules about if you don't pay this payment by this date, your interest rate goes up to 25%, and all that was all calculated. So anyway, the only point I'm making is it's just an example that I was involved and I watched this roll out, and I saw the lack of conscience that people have, and you need the maturity, you need people that have been through that to look out for the people here at the district. So I have that kind of experience, but even more importantly, I was a single parent. I had 3 children, and they all graduated from California State University campuses and are off on their own. And the importance of that is that even though I've had these extraordinary experiences with the Marine Corps and corporate and so forth, I've done everything that everybody else has. I was dragged many times to school, you know, when I should have been at a business meeting. And I can remember my son Nathan, when I traveled to the East Coast and go over spelling words at night on the phone, and all of those things, you know, that all of us have gone through. I had troubles making ends meet many times. I was concerned about getting them through college. All of those things that we all face. So unlike Rohrbacher, who has never had a job in his life, right? No, I don't think he has, as far as I know.
Still doesn't, yeah.
He's only had political jobs. So he doesn't know what it's like to lose sleep at night because you can't make payroll. Or they're afraid they're going to raise your workers' comp to a level that you can't afford, you know, that kind of thing. So that's the second reason, is I think I'm the right person with the right experience. We need somebody with the maturity to change the course, right?